Hi everyone, welcome back to Aligning with Success. It is the last day of the month, so I hope this call does not go long because many of us are tracking a lot of stuff going on right now. And I can tell you right now, it's the biggest month in 15 years. So that kind of gives you an idea of how busy it is. And of course, there's a lot of new rank advancements happening. Boy, I'm taking a screenshot whenever I can, just so I can collect them all and share with everybody at one time. Because I don't know, there's probably like 5 royal diamonds, 6 royal diamonds, 10 or 15 diamonds. It's just it's a diamond extravaganza. That's what I can call it. Anyways, of course, with that comes a whole new bunch of platinums and a whole new bunch of golds and a whole bunch of silvers and so forth. So just really, really exciting times. And definitely a thing to come to look forward to as we prepare. I don't know you know this, but tomorrow, a group of us have been invited to explore the new Nikken back office and our PWPs, et cetera, just to the cursory view of what we're supposed to then go into a testing mode on. I think we're going to be given 7 or 10 days or something to kick the tires in a pre-test, in a pre-launch, I should say. And then next weekend, starting Thursday, is the Nikken Summit. How many of you on this call, just show of hands, are registered for the Nikken Summit? Oh, good. Okay, good. It's going to be really about laying a foundation. I know you were going to come out of the Nikken Summit with a whole new appreciation for the work that's been done until now in the background and what's going to go forward in the foreground with the help of those participants. Hey, congratulations, Mary Robson. She texted me today and she said she surpassed her goals for this month. Mary, are you hearing this? She's frozen. You're frozen in time. Mary Robson. I said, can you hear me? Mary, can you hear me? I don't know if she can hear. Anyway, she'll chime in if she can. How many of you set goals for this month? I'm still working on mine. Nikken just gave us an extra 2 days of the month. Whew, that might help. So if you didn't know that, there's an additional 2 days that have been added to the month because of today, which was somewhat expected. The onslaught of phone calls being a Monday after a 2-day holiday, and people are, gathering up those orders. So today has been nothing but a stalemate on the phone. So they've added 2 days for us to go ahead and complete November. However, I'm just going to caution you that usually means 2 days out of December, which already is a shorter month of the year because of the holidays. So perhaps this call ought to be a reflection of setting some objectives for December. I think it's really important that we continually set objectives for ourselves. I'm firing for Team Kaizen myself. I've got all the volume requirements, just got a few people to put in place still. But, how many of you on this call are Team Kaizen qualifiers? Okay, Elaine. And Elaine's joining us at the Eric Worre.
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet. I still need more retail volume.
Okay. Well, we still got a month and a bit, so excellent. Someone just asked me, what time slot is the summit? Which summit are we speaking about? The Nikken Summit? If I don't know, it's not an open event. It is for 50 ticket holders, 50 people who registered. And the last time I checked, which was Friday, there were only 3 seats available. So I don't know if those 3 seats are still available. You can reach out to Ruben Yeskis and find out if there's still some availability if you're interested. The reason why Nikken limited to 50 is really because sometimes more, less is more. And in this case, because it's the seeding, it's this inception of a new Nikken, essentially a new vision, a new leadership, all part and parcel of Vision 2025. But the idea of gathering up those who jump on this, you know, it's like, it's kind of like nobody's twisting anybody's arms here. You have to want it. You got to want it. And you demonstrate that by, you know, not being pushed into something, but just simply you hear about it, you know, you need to be part of it. So it was kind of one of those calls. That's not to say that those 50 people are going to forevermore have an advantage over anyone else. It's just that it's the start of an engine, and it needs some people to get it started. And the engine is going to be revved up in 2021. A lot is happening for 2021 to position Nikken in a much better way. And if you're aware of what's happening in Latin America, as I've iterated this many times, as has been, what's happening there didn't just happen. It's not just, oh, you know, November is an explosive month. It's been happening. This is the 3rd November we've experienced an absolute spike in volume, but it's pre-planned. It was actually, I remember the first time it was planned, I was with them in Panama at the Diamond Summit as they were introducing the plan for the year at the Diamond Summit. And so, and that was in November, early November for the following year. So what they do is, as they organize a calendar of events and they plan around that. So Nikken Corporate does that along with their field leaders lockstep. So this event, the summit this week, is the beginning of something of that sort. It's the beginning of creating that experience in Nikken so that more of us are working collaboratively with Nikken to establish a rhythm of the business, which includes these very special spikes. So there's going to be a quarterly, and then there's going to be various activities within those quarters and various incentives, all tied back to the incentive program, et cetera. So it's a real business plan. And I'm super excited about that because we've been doing business plans somewhat within the context of this call, Ben's call, and the events schedule that you've all seen, the Nikken Connect schedule. It's, you know, it's a program, but it's not nearly as well attended or organized because it's kind of everybody's a free-for-all. You can just plug in anytime you want. But when you've got instruction coming down from the company with the view of the future in mind and a very specific plan to execute, then when everybody gets on that page, the boat starts going in one direction. And that's the key, is this new vision, and everybody rowing in their own way within the context of that boat going in that direction. So everybody pulling together, even though we're all individuals, we're pulling in the same direction. And that is going to create the experience that they're experiencing in Latin America, which is astounding. And I was told that this is not even their momentum year. Next year is when they start to go into momentum. Imagine that. So super, super excited for the future. Madeline, have you got all the ducks in a row lined up, the I's dotted and the T's crossed with Team Kaizen, yes or no?
Team Kaizen is done, working on the Team Tai Chi now, Michael. So
All right, so I think you're the only one on this call that's got it all done. So let's give Madeline a roaring applause, because that is awesome. Madeline, you are leading the field.
Well, thank you. And what I'm working on is Amy, the silver, this month. That's what I was working on today, working with the team under her because of what she's going through. So now we're working on the 3rd level deep. So this month she has, I think in the last orders that were just placed, close to 4,000. So a qualifying silver this month, and sponsored a 4th person.
Fantastic.
And we had the old 21 club, she would have achieved that. So it's been pretty exciting for her and her family, and exciting to be involved with the momentum with real good potential. So that's where I'm focusing.
I just got a question. I'm not sure. Thank you for that. I just want to hold for a second. Someone's asking me if the password changed. Is the password changed? No. Nikken one, yeah. Okay. So Madeline, that's awesome. This is what, your third Team Kaizen? Fourth?
The Italy trip was the bonus for high PGV, but in the past, yeah, second now.
Okay. That's awesome. And now just for humor me, you're what age now? Am I allowed to ask that?
73 last August.
73 and leading the field. How's that for potential and possibility, guys? I just think that's amazing. I think that's just amazing. That's something worth telling people about, you know?
And actually with that, Mike, my objective at this point is the successorship, mentoring someone to take over the business ultimately. So that's the revision of the goal there. So in that next 5 years, since we have this 5-year reality here. And so that, and everybody knows that. They have the opportunity. Who's going to be the most committed, those that I'm working with, current and new, in the future, because there's no one in my family that really wants to do that. So that's creating an incentive also, because I see the legacy, I see the future, and 5 years seems reasonable, especially after what we've been doing in these last 5 years. So after being on the phone today, it'll be really nice when we are able to do it online and have the new software.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that's coming. So we get to experiment starting tomorrow. Madeline, I'm just going to ask if anybody has questions for Madeline, because I think she more than certain deserves the floor. And I mean, you want to know from the people who are doing it, right? That's what we talked about 1 or 2 calls ago. So Madeline is one of those people who's doing it. So any questions, guys? What do you have for Madeline? I'm going to start with one question, and I just want brief answers, Madeline, because I want to get as many questions as possible.
That's in my 5-year plan too.
So, let's practice brevity tonight, okay? All right, maybe I'll just start a timer, 30 seconds. We'll do what do they call that in those game shows? Speed round or whatever. Lightning round. We'll do a lightning round here.
I don't have as much time to talk now, so.
All right, Madeline, why are you doing this at 73?
My why is I caught the vision. I know we're not to talk about the past, but I caught the vision of the future in winning the first trip to Japan and that big event. And I did all of those things. And so now with this vision to 2025, it seems like the past 5 years, we're just plugging along, and it was the decision to do what I just said. It isn't about me. It's for someone else in the future. And I'm hoping that that someone in my family may change their mind. But if not, my Nikken family is my family. So I have a committed goal, because 78, by then I want to wind down a little bit. And so I just made that decision. And what's been happening since making that decision, I have some former silvers that are relooking at it again. I have some other people that are weren't silvers that are joining again and starting over. And so making phone calls, connecting to customers. So, and stating with my enthusiasm, they'll say, "You still doing that?" I said, "Absolutely, more excited than ever," because of this second wave and the potential for anybody getting on board at this point in time. So, and what I'm focusing on are younger people, and even the 40s and 50s, younger than me, and their children, presenting it that way, because my need is really more with social media, obviously, and so forth. But I have boxes. When I watch that, when I watch the contact management guy, the guy that started it, Tom, that was on Tom Renault, what was his last name?
Tom Chenault, yeah.
Yeah, Chenault. When he talked about all the mistakes he made of all the people that he has in his phones that he didn't follow up on. Well, I have all of that. And so I thought, well, I could go back there to what I have, and it's working. Now, the other thing I did was.
Wait. I want to pause there. That's important. So wait, you're going back to your Rolodex on your phone?
I'm going back to the Rolodex on the phone. I've pulled up files of former distributors. You know, when I moved to this house, I had my files. They were downstairs. Some of them I don't remember, just like he said. But they were invested and have products. And so I'm doing the contact management app, and I'm putting those people in as I make the calls, and I'm just doing the calls to the network that I already know. And then with,
I have tonight, I have a new executive, and that person is from a former Nikken consultant.
yeah, so do I. I have a couple new ones that are former. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, good advice. Anybody have a question for Madeline?
Madeline, you mentioned contact management. Is that the name of it?
Contact manager.
Or is it contact mapping?
Contact mapping, I'm sorry. Contact mapping, doing the contact management, contact mapping. Okay. And their free seminars and so forth are really very good, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They have an advancement to Premier. And again, I'm on a learning curve. Mary Bowser is shaking her head. My new little mastermind team has people with all the strengths in it that I don't have. So we're going to be helping one another. And Mary Bowser is a wealth of knowledge. So do what we've been taught to do. Select a mentor, have cross-line people, use one another for ABCs, get to know one another, and get your own support team going. And it's a cross-line support team. So we're excited. We're norming and forming and sharing on a special WhatsApp, just like this is another mastermind team.
Fantastic. Any other questions for Madeline? Here's your chance.
Madeline,
Team Kaizen qualifier. Yes, Mary, go ahead.
what are some of the things that you are saying to folks that are younger, the millennials or the younger people that you're meeting?
I'm asking them a lot of questions. I'm doing better at asking the questions instead of explaining. You know, what are your dreams? What do you want to do? And all the time that you spend on these devices and doing the strength tests and so forth. You know, I'm doing that with people that catches their attention. And can you see a way to leverage and compound and do something part-time here that can become something else? I have some college students, children of new distributors, and one's working in a Giant Eagle packing groceries, and so another one in an EMS squad. And so as you go back to college, so I'm presenting it that way. You can see what's happening in the family, the products that you like. Tonight, a former Silver that was here brought her daughter and the daughter's boyfriend that are missing, visiting from New England, wanted rollouts. He's an economics major. Immediately saw the possibility here for the future. So just planted a few seeds tonight. I'm going to follow up tomorrow. They're leaving to head back to New England in a car. And so he had his product experience here this evening. So I'm going to follow back up tomorrow because we had a brief conversation about his background and that he might want to kick the tires of where this company is at this point and just do some due diligence on it. So I'm presenting it that way, asking questions, listening, and just taking advantage of those opportunities and admitting I am 73. I have an MBA, but it was back in the 80s. And, you know, I had a systems manager and an executive secretary. I didn't do my own computing then, let alone in my palm of my hand. And so at this point, though, I have access to top leaders. I have knowledge about the distribution system. I have that history. So I can provide that for you. And I would love to learn from you. That's what collaborative entrepreneurship means, what we can share and teach one another. So that leverage and compounding effect. And so actually, Mike, doing the better way, even though I like to see some changes in those slides. But
it's coming.
Yeah, just repeating those simple concepts of leveraging and compounding. And the components of that, I hear myself saying that in the conversations after I ask questions and listen and connect that, those factors. And
are you making most of your contacts online or in person?
I'm in person. Again, I have boxes. I have boxes and a lot of contacts in person.
So they're coming over to your house or your meetings?
Yes, and Zoom.
Mhm.
And through the networks, asking for the referrals. So today, Amy goes to Mike looked it up, a Glow IV center on the east side of Cleveland. So it's 50 miles away from me. Well, that person is interested because a lot of overhead, a lot of clients not coming in now as self-pay clients. So she's referring people. They're referring a man today that owns a farm with some neurological problems. So I just jumped right into, well, then you understand what, by farming, what plants need. This is a concept that can help people and bring nature inside. This got his attention. So they came on as a registered customer, and I'll be following up with them. 55 years old, difficulty walking, and wants to get back to his farm. So just listening for, and that was a referral through a referral. So that's working in depth.
So basically, Madeline, you are networking. You're
Yeah.
basically networking. It's kind of old school networking, right? Just communicating, connecting, and asking for referrals and doing the same.
And they're connected elsewhere. So that's not going to be in person. They live 50 miles away. The new person now lives about 90 miles away. The one that's 50 miles away has a relative in South Africa, and she can sell to her in South Africa. She's a holistic practitioner also. She has a sister-in-law in the UK. So it's working there, working on.
Have any of the, has there been any part of the Nikken Rhythm events, the online events, has that been anything, has that contributed to any of the duplication?
It's contributed to the local people that I've worked with that are now coming back, you know, the ones that know me. And some, Mike, as we've shared, they're working, you know, this center is open on Saturday, or they have their kids in sports. So getting the recordings and sending those recordings. And so having them longer than 2 weeks, I'm still going to put a plug in for that, because that is working. And then sending those recordings to their referrals, because once they see the recording, especially the kind that I just mentioned now, then they want to send them to who they have, to the sister-in-law in the UK. Last time we had somebody from the UK featured. So I know that you want people to be there live, but in with the momentum that we have going now, if we can't get them live there, then it is working with this networking referral source.
Anybody has a question for Madeline? Our sole Team Kaizen member for this year qualified already so far in this chat.
I have a question, Mike.
Go ahead, Linda.
Hi there. Madeline, I always enjoy when you speak, because you have such wisdom and understanding of people. My question to you is, since you've had a lot of experience breaking silvers in rank, do you, when you initially share, do you share both the business opportunity along with the product, and just share it as a two-step sharing of how they can improve their lives?
I listen, but I always share both. And if they're not interested, that's okay. Then I always ask, is there maybe somebody that is, but I always share both. This is a part of a vision that I caught 22 years ago. And it may not be for you now. It may not be for you today. That's what happened with this. I mean, I just talked to this woman today, and it led to several other calls. So they're starting out as a registered customer, but we'll be following up. So I always share that there's both. And if there's a pullback, then I listen to the pullback and say, okay, then where do you want to begin and how do you want to begin?
And my follow-up question, do you use any tool? Do you always leave something with them? A brochure, a postcard, a business card?
Well, I've been a part of this, of Aligned with Success. So I have all the tools that the cards and so forth that I present on a better way. So that's what I use. But I do have other information. I have other handouts on the water, whatever it happens to be, if it's product wise. But I pretty much share what we've been sharing here in Align with Success and through Launch Partners.
Well, you're an
So-
amazing inspiration. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Linda. Linda, it would be nice to see your face sometimes. I always
Yes,
you are. Yeah.
sometimes it disappears. Well, I just got in and I'm kind of disheveled. The next time.
The next time, yeah, you're always present, and I've asked people, who are you and what team are you on? And I did hear the last time you're from Seattle, so it is,
Yeah.
and that's important for us here. I'd like to say that,
Yes.
you know, getting to know one another, because we are a virtual community now, and if we're going to reach a goal of 10 million households, it isn't going to be with not having the connections that we have here, that to be able to help
Absolutely.
one another. Thank you, Linda, and thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Madeline.
Some of the tools that Madeline's talking about that you can get these at lifeinbalancetools.com. And by the way, there is a Black Friday special. I think I put that post out there. So that's available to you. I don't know if it ends today, but I gotta look at the post again. But if you don't have tools,
This one is still my favorite, Michael, because it does show the 5 pillars, and it does show what do you want to be here, even though, I mean, it's dated, but it isn't dated. So just take it from there. It's just one thing.
when you
that-
say what do you want to be, you mean it shows
That I-
consultant,
shows-
customer, or partner, right?
Yes, it shows
That's
it all.
Yeah, this is the pipeline, guys. This is the reference that we were making to the pipeline, the Tim Sales video when he shared the notion of a pipeline, the difference between the $25,000 earner and the $100,000 earner, or the $75,000 earner is not the pipeline. It's how many people they put through the pipeline. So if you don't know what the pipeline is, then you don't have a system. And the pipeline is merely a place where you initiate a conversation and it moves them through a process of information to a conclusion. And so if you don't know what that flow of information is, or what resources you have available to share that information in a way that's shareable, duplicatable, I think it's really, really important you check in with somebody in your upline immediately and have a quick training on what is the process you're using. How do you get people through the pipeline? What's the pipeline? What's the process? What's the flow of information? These are all metaphors for the same thing. And what tools do you use to facilitate that? Whether it's physical forms like these, which I use in my one-on-ones, or digital. Is there any digital tools which you're predominantly sharing with people, as in videos or PDFs or whatnot? If you don't have that information, if you are not very, very clear, and let me just merely make this point, if you're not really, really clear on what that pipeline is, what the process is, that's what you need to do immediately. You need to sit down with somebody and get that information and get that, you know, under your belt. There's a couple of books I can recommend. This one, Go Pro, by Eric Worre, of course, 7 Steps to Becoming a Network Marketing Professional. So he refers to it as 7 steps. Of course, if you were to read this, part of the steps are finding prospects. The pipeline I'm making reference to assumes you have prospects, and this is what the process is once you have a prospect on your contact list. But he gets into how to prospect and then the process of
Is that open?
the pipeline.
Oh.
And another book that I can recommend that I think is a really good follow-up tool for new consultants and for customers who you want to keep moving further down the pipeline is this book, For Your Career. This is the most recent copy with Richard Brooke, and I'm in this one. So I suggest you use tools. Tools make the work, you know, if you think of what is a tool, a screwdriver, imagine a screwdriver. Try to turn a screwdriver with your finger, or a screw with your fingers. You know, it's just not going to happen. But put a screwdriver in your hand and it's easy. The tool just makes the work easy. That's it. And the simpler it is for somebody to see how it's done, the more likely they're going to do it.
If I can say something about those two books, Mike, the 4-year career specifically, I've handed that book out to people that had this preconceived idea of network marketing, and it has completely blown it out of the water. They have a better understanding of what network marketing is. And we've heard it said before, we heard it when you were interviewed with the other network marketers with Richard Brooke. We've heard Eric Worre say the same thing, that it's the most ethical means of doing business in the world today. And when they read about what network marketing is, and Kimmy Brooks' book also explains it really, really well, that when you have somebody that maybe they're not interested in the business, but they are interested in knowing what it really is about, instead of, well, exploring their preconceived idea. Yeah, the 4-year career for women. Yeah, both explain it really, really well. And then Richard's other book, Mach 1 with Your Hair on Fire, is another really good book.
Mach 2.
Mach 2.
With Your Hair on Fire. The reason why this is such an important book is everything that we do on this call and everything we've been doing has been, the focus has always been the mind. That if you're not thinking the right thoughts, you're not going to be feeling the right feelings or taking the right actions. So how do we address the most, the most important thing in our toolbox, our mind, our attitude? This book is a really good book, which incorporates fundamentals, kind of fundamentals you would hear from Bob Proctor. In fact, I think he even quotes Bob Proctor in this book. So it's a simple, easy to read. These are all really simple, easy to read, kindergarten type stuff for people getting involved in our industry and our business, to move them along so that they can overcome the inertia of their preconceptions, or they can overcome the inertia of their own personal experience in life, or lack of and limitations. And that's the pipeline, because the pipeline doesn't end with somebody getting involved in Nikken. That's not the end of the pipeline. If you look at, I don't think I have a quick access to it, it's somewhere here, but there's another little postcard that we created that shows the Nikken rhythm, the rhythm of the business. And it's one of the slides that we have that show the support
Mike,
system.
I have it here.
Oh, you have it, perfect. Okay, so when you look at that, what you see there is the starting point of somebody's journey in Nikken. So they're already in Nikken, which means they've gone through the quote unquote pipeline of getting involved in Nikken, but they're still in the pipeline because, those people that are cracking Royal Diamond this month, they're in the pipeline. They've been in the pipeline. They've gone from Diamond to Royal Diamond. So they're still moving. And so it's a journey. Getting into Nikken is just the beginning of the journey. You keep moving and keep going in the pipeline. So we're all in the pipeline. So it's a never-ending process of development. That's why we call it humans being more. It's just to broaden your context of the pipeline. It's not just how do we get people into Nikken. It's what happens once they're in. What is the training? What's the support? What is the shift in consciousness that we're helping them make and facilitating for them? So, the being part of this agenda, this call, and others similar to this, being in the Humans Being More curriculum, all these are things that made a difference for me, for others, in keeping our spirit focused and our energy and attention on Nikken, in our learning. I'm doing this GoPro, virtual GoPro next weekend, 3 days virtual GoPro. If you haven't registered, please consider it. I'm doing it because I need to brush off. I need to sharpen the axe. I want, and it's funny because you might think, well, Mike, you kind of got a really big business and you've got a lot going on and so forth. Why? Well, the same reason I asked Madeline, you're 73. Why? Because I'm in the pipeline. I'm not dead. I got things to do. I want to be creative. And the place that I have found the most fulfillment and satisfaction in terms of my creative expression is building a Nikken business. Working with people and through people and their success and their continued growth it feeds me, it feeds my soul. So my purpose in life is this, and I'm very fulfilled by doing it. But there are times where you kind of hit the cruise control and you just sort of go along, you know, fan the flames for others, but you just kind of go along. I'm past that. I finally got past that pause, and I now want to grow. So going into Vision 2025, I want to be a major contributing factor, which means I want to introduce Nikken to people that are not on this call. I want to grow the audience. I want to grow the membership. I want to grow the leadership. That means taking an active role in the early part, the early stages, meaning putting people into the process, into the pipeline, meaning getting them into HBM and following up with that and recognizing their achievements. You know, these are the things that I want to be more engaged in with this new audience. So any other questions we have for Madeline before we call it a night, since it is month end and there's a lot of things going on?
Question for Madeline and maybe for you too, Mike, on HBM, which you just mentioned again. And I think you did the new virtual component, the shorter one, Madeline, maybe. I don't know if anybody else did it. Twice. Okay. So I remember way back when, before I was in Nikken, I did HBM before I ever signed up. And I remember being told it's really not about the company or the business. It's really about, you know, your self-development and dreaming and all of that. Is that still the focus? And
Yeah, I think that, yes, it is. And what Jeff did a very good job of doing the first couple, and now he's shifting, and he has those Tuesday night follow-ups, is this shift from chaos to order. And he did it at the global virtual 46 too. He was taking pieces out of it there. And so really helping us, because of being stuck in this environment that we are and doing it this way, it is a shift. So it needs to be a shift of how do we make order out of the new chaos, So it's helping to think differently, setting that mindset to shift the mind that it isn't going to be the same way that it was before. So it's that. And there are the dyad times you break up and you share some questions with one another. You know, it's not the same. It's not quite the same. And I certainly hope we have the hybrid again in the future where we do have people getting together. I mean, I think that's critical, with humans being more in our hugs and so forth. But yes, it is important. So I'm anxious to see what he's going to do with Ben on the 12th, when they're going to overlap empowerment over enabling. I want to make one more comment, if I can digress for a minute. Having some action and depth, and that's happened to the rest of my team. And Mike, you've talked about that, the pebble in the pond, and once it starts going. So by having one new silver that didn't just get there, but now is actually building momentum and working with 3, and now a 4th, new direct to her. Now, some of the others that have been just watching are now saying, well, you know, I can do this too. So there is, and that's been real inspiring for me to get back to working on the depth, because unless somebody sees an income and sees excitement and sees others and know what it takes, I think all of us we haven't had the duplication. So it does mean starting new with some new people. And if we attract some of our former people back, or former customers, that's fine. It's all the more because we have that done. They already know the products work, and may have tried it before but didn't make the income before. Well, now you can have a check every Friday and another one on the 15th. So that's 5 checks a month. And to be able to not have to pay all the money for traveling and whatever, having this access here. So it's connecting those two. So that goes back to Linda Morse's question. And the colleagues that are here, you know, as I look at the different mastermind teams that I'm on and the different calls, I have different people from all over the place that I can call, and I do. They all been calling me for years as the A on the clinical part, you know, so that's real important to tap others that have skills that we don't have. And D, I'm on the Universal Truth team, the Ikigai team from Diamond Training. The training is essential. Diamond Training is just advanced with Louise, is advanced humans being more training. It's personal development training. And we've kept our team going. So I recommend when Louise does whatever Diamond Training will be called again, that everybody here register for that as well also. That's what he's known for. So, and we have that. You and Elaine and I, there's 3 of us. If Elaine popped off, she may have left because she goes to another call if she isn't still here, Connolly. But it's that connection of helping one another, the duplication. And for me, that's the shift right now, is the shift in duplication and the focus on other team development. Actually, I'd love to, and I'm going to recommend at the leadership conference, going to Hawaii isn't that important for me. I'd love to give my Hawaii trip. I mean, I don't have a partner to go with anyway. I'd like to be able, like we could give our 500 bonus points that we earned for Club Ki. That's something I did all 4 quarters. I've done that seven quarters in a row, 3 quarters last year and the 4 quarters this year. So having those steps, working on those steps, you have those extra bonus points that you can.
I have a question, Madeline. Sorry to interrupt, but you gave me a thought there, because to generate that kind of volume on a consistent basis is not going back to the trough and keep going back to the same trough. So how many people would you say on average, new people, would you say you engage in the pipeline on a daily or a weekly basis?
I'm always talking to somebody. It's the statistics and keeping track of records that I'm not good at. So, and that I haven't done a good job at. I can remember one leader say, make a big mess and clean it up afterwards. Well, I have a big mess, but at least now it's with some productivity and PV and OV. You know,
so can you give us a ballpark?
Yeah. Okay. You know, I'm probably I talk to everybody. If I go through the grocery line, I talk to every young person that's a checkout person. Are you a college student? I start that kind of conversation. Are you here? Is this a part-time gig for college? What's your major? Are you interested in how you look healthy? The person in front of me with bottles of water in their carts, you know, would you be interested in, instead of buying all of this, do you realize that it's safe? And are you interested? When I walk, I'm in a new neighborhood, I talk to everybody. And so I just speak to everybody. So I don't know, I'm always out talking or on the phone, spend too much time on the phone. So
this is our business, folks. What is our business? Honest to God, when you consider business in the world today, what it takes to run a business, to own a business, run a business, and you think this is the lion's share of the business that Madeline's referring to is talking with people, just putting it out there, starting up conversations and seeing where that goes.
And here's what I'm doing. I'm handing him my phone. I said, I got this new phone. So now I can do my credit card for the grocery store. I haven't even done that yet. So I said to this young nursing student, I said, I don't even know how to use this. She said, here, I'll take it. I said, then put your information in there for me. And so I have her information. As soon as I get in the car, I write down her name, you know, and put that somewhere else so I don't forget who she is, because I have 4,000 contacts in here. And so it's a matter of now remembering those contacts and going back to them. And
yeah, it's kind of like Leo's strategy.
Yeah.
Leo's strategy is 2 emails a day. Is it still 2 emails a day, Leo? Yes, huh? That's it. 2 new contacts a day. The power of 2, we used to call that. So would you say it's about 2 people a day, Madeline, if you had to quantify it?
Whether it's 2 new people a day or 2 follow-ups a day, probably that or more. And one thing I want to build in is 1 good day off where I'm not answering all these apps and whatever else, because it can become 24/7, you know, putting some constraints on that kind of time management. Yes. Again, I don't have any difficulty talking to new people. It's the follow-up and keeping track of it, and how do they fit into the long-term master plan. And if they say, well, I'm already busy and I'm doing this and I don't have time, well, how much time do you spend on this? You know, can you look at something that would be a better leveraging of all the time you might be spending on Instagram or whatever? You know, when I go to look into that and I start looking at all the people that I know there, then I can spend hours on that. And I don't want to that way.
Mhm.
I just rather look and see who's there that I know and then go back and follow up with them.
You know, there's a movie my daughter watched that turned her completely up. This is my daughter, Sophia, you know, the one you know from social media, turned her completely off. She's been absent from social media for almost 2 months. And it's a movie that's, you can see somewhere on Netflix or whatever. And it's about the social media issue, how they are manipulating our minds through social media, how they are consuming our time, how they have avatars. You know, just on the other side of this screen is a Mike DiMuccio that they know very, very well, better than me. And they know exactly what video to put in front of me at what moment in time to keep me hooked.
Yep.
And it's actually real. That's really actually happening. So, yeah, well, okay. We've gone about as much as I think we should tonight. I want to again congratulate Madeline for being our cheerleader and our leader in the field, qualifying Team Kaizen. And she's not done yet. What do you think, Madeline?
Well, the challenge I have because of sponsoring,
Yeah.
the old one is that it isn't all 50%. I'll have the 80,000 for Team Tai Chi, but I may not have the 50% retail volume.
Right.
Here. And right now, you know, 3 more days in Hawaii isn't what interests me. It's you know.
That's fine. And by the way, again,
the teams. So if teams are going to be adding other people, and so I hope that with next year's incentive that it's both. You know, right now it's all first new PGV. It's new sponsoring, new bringing. There needs to be something also for the.
I'm sure they'll tweak it, but I think with all the things that are being put in place for next year that we're going to start getting a glimpse at this week, I think you're going to be excited about the future. You're going to be excited about being in Nikken, having something to offer people, especially when you see what they're going to put together for the front end of the program, meaning what Madeline first referred to. You got to show people the money. And I want to say something because I put out a text message earlier this week, I think it was, or man, it was on the weekend, sorry. I put out a text message on the weekend with respect to a comment regarding the virtual GoPro event and the idea of, depending on your purpose, are you there to make money? Are you in Nikken to make money? It wasn't an exclusive. It's in other words, if your sole motivation is to help people, well, then you're probably not going to be that interested in making money, and therefore you're not going to be that interested in any subject material that is going to enrich your ability to do that. Whereas if you really do want to help people, I don't know who's helping people more than the Royal Diamonds. Certainly the ones who are achieving Royal Diamond, the ones who are running for Royal Diamond, they're making a difference. They are not only enrolling people, their people are enrolling people. They have a system of duplication and training and motivation and collaboration. Like, they have a real going concern. They've created a community experience that is not ending. It continues to expand. So they have an expanding community, and they've learned how to do that. And it started with, you know, I was on a chat with one of the gals today who just broke Royal Diamond. That was Barbara Gurea's first silver, just became Royal Diamond. And I said, oh my God, I remember her when she was at the Panama event. I think she was maybe a gold, and she just hit diamond. So, you know, it's building a tribe and working like a family, and they have such strong bonds within their team. And that's what she said to me when I congratulated her. Instead of her saying, what do you expect she'd say? She said, it's all my team. My team did it. I'm like, okay, your team did it, but you had the vision and you've led this team. So I think it's important
That's part of what I'm tired of is doing all of the work. I haven't really empowered or duplicated others.
My
yet.
point, Madeline, my point exactly is this. Duplication happens when the environment is right. And if you want to create an environment of duplication, why not tap into where they are doing it in leaps and bounds? We have the single largest network marketing event in the history of network marketing going to take place online in a week's time, a little bit over a week's time, 2 weekends from now. And that's the virtual GoPro. What will you gain from being immersed in this environment of people who are not just in it for helping the people? They're business people. You know, you can't help anybody with empty pockets. If you really want to help people, help yourself. Put yourself in a position where you can actually help people. I tell people all the time, Nikken is my business, not my charity, but it allows me to be charitable. And I think that's the priority. It's keeping the right perspective on it. It is a business, and Nikken started because of Masuda, who had a financial need. He wanted to help people. Who doesn't want to help people? Wasn't the point. The point was he had a financial need, and that was what drove him into the entrepreneurial spirit and the entrepreneurial environment. And I think it's really important for all of us on this call, quite frankly, with the exception of you, Madeline, because you've been doing that.
You mentioned charity.
Let's dust off the spider webs on our entrepreneurial spirit, and let's start to get in the spirit of that. You were saying?
Okay. I'd like to mention the money part, because I was sitting back a bit comfortably, and but what I had on my original vision board, I don't have children of my own, and the two family names, mom and dad, even though they were family of 8, there's no one to carry the family name. So one of my goals was to start a foundation in their name and have that go on in perpetuity. And then I sort of gave up on that. And then I thought, well, no, I'm not giving up on it. You know, that foundation, the Casula Melvin Family Foundation, is there. And so whoever assumes or moves into my position, their payment for it, I have this already taken care of, their payment for it will be, so it's a longevity one, it'll be some percentage of their profit, which is a tax-free donation to the Casula Melvin Family Foundation, so that my family legacy goes on. Cool. And so it's not money that it isn't the immediate money that's coming back for me. I want to develop an organization that somebody's going to want to build by then moving into my position, and then their payment will be, and it'll be over a long period of time for that. That I have set up already legally, but it hasn't been worth that much with what's happened in the last few years compared to what it was worth previously. So and actually the lock-in event for me was that virtual 45th year anniversary thing. All of a sudden it was 5 years, and all of these things were going to happen. And I thought, well, you know, if I do another 20 years, my God, I don't want to do this that long. So 5 years seemed, so then I started just lining up an action plan. So, and then other things seem to fall in order, the contact mapping at the same time, and a new silver moving along with good business people and their contacts, including.
Isn't that amazing, Madeline, how the law works?
Yes, Michael.
Things follow your choices in life, how things follow your decisions in life.
What about this one? And so I have a few of these favorites that I just show all the time. So that's exactly that. So, and I'll pull that out. So, and I, as you all know, I tend to give a lot of detail. So I say, look at a picture, you know, where do you want to be here? The same thing on these other pictures, you know, the duplication one, the five little customers or 5 wellness home starts or whatever. Just look at the picture and get excited, and let's do it. And then you can, when you get the results, then we'll figure out how did you get this amount of money or whatever. Because I do know that. I do know how to teach the reimbursement. I know the policies and the procedures. So instead of teaching it, which is what I've been doing, because I was more comfortable doing the teaching, I decided that it was time for me to show my backside and get out and do it again.
Yeah, to show it. Yeah, take the theory and turn it into reality, and that's when people will start to follow. Well, there you go, folks. Great call. Thank you, Madeline, for your contribution
Thank you.
always.
I still have a long way to go, but we've got the momentum going. And so for those here, I've attended GoPro before. I've attended all kinds of things. So I'm not attending that one. I'm working, but I am working with two first level executives. I said, you go to it, you know, and then come back and share it with the rest of us. You go.
My
attend.
goodness, I can only imagine what that'll do. So now for those of us who know what it means to be immersed in, you know, we got a glimpse of it. I hope you guys watched that video clip that I posted of the access to about I don't know, it was a 4-hour event or something like that. That was just a couple of weeks ago. Or maybe the, you know, there were a couple of people that I mentioned that were earning $1 million a month. You know, it's hard for people to even fathom that. And I'm sure for those people who were making $1 million a month, they couldn't possibly conceive of making $1 million a month when they got started. That wasn't something that they thought was possible for them. Everybody thinks it's possible, but few people, and I mean few people, think it's possible for them. So
That was Chelsea Montgomery, wasn't it?
yeah. So it's not a question of whether or not you think it's possible for you. If you don't surround yourself, immerse yourself, but in the environment of people where not only is it possible, but they're doing it. It's like listening to Madeline tonight, you know, putting yourself in her shoes. That's what you've been doing all this call. You've been asking yourself, what would it be like? You know, how is it, you know, it's like for her. And the more we get to know what it's like to be in Madeline's shoes, the easier it is for us to imagine it being us. Same thing. If you're talking to people making money in network marketing, regardless of what company they're in network marketing. We have, I think, one of the finest companies in network marketing history, but we're in network marketing. And understanding that, because that's the business component of what we do. That's the social component. That's the social contract. When you create a network marketing organization, you're creating an organization, you're creating a following, you're creating a team. And it was that inspired the Latin American group a few years back when Luis Kasuga took 200 of the Latinos to an Eric Worre event in Las Vegas. So we've seen what's happened with that initiation. I think it's very important at this time, especially given where we're going into 2025 plan, that if you have not been baptized in that energy, you really owe it to yourself. And if you have, like I have years in the past, it's time to do it again. You know, reinitiate that side of you that understands and can pick up the vibe and the sense of what it means to be a player in this industry. Because what we need right now in Nikken, what Nikken needs right now are players, people who are going to actually lead a charge, a campaign that will attract a following. That's what's necessary right now for us to expand. So I invite you again to be one of those people next weekend. So thanks everybody for joining. It's been a great call. I'm surprised so many of you were on the call. I was expecting everybody to be on the phone, on hold even, but on the phones. So anyway, let's finish this month. We got an extra 2 days. Let's make it count, right? And set some goals for December. This is the last month of the year that we're going into. Let's ride out 2020 on our terms.
Mike, one of the terms you use is pre-launch, and that's what I've been saying to the people that I'm working with now. This is the end of the year, so whatever you do is pre-launch. You have tax write-offs for starting up your business. You know, if you need a new phone or whatever else, these are all business expenses. It's like having a baby in the last day of the year and having a tax write-off. So using those kinds of terms, and let's just get something going, and then we'll work. Then we'll ask them.
I think that's really important, Madeline. You just brought up a business idea, which is tax write-offs. You know, that's not a product. It's not going to make you feel good, but it is a benefit most certainly, especially if you have a job. The tax code is written for entrepreneurs. It's not written for employees. Employees get ravaged. So
This one.
Teach people. By the way, Madeline, a lot of those things that you're holding up are getting cut out of that slide presentation.
Good,
So
good. That's okay. I'll still use them I could still use them as a tool.
that's fine.
I'm
But
looking forward to the change slide
well,
presentation.
no, but you may want to add your comments as to which ones we should and shouldn't be removing.
Well,
Because
I'd love to be in on that conversation.
I'll definitely run it by you before we make the
4.5
final.
years, I'd
final
love to
shift.
be in on that conversation.
All right, everybody. You guys all have a great month and thanks for joining. We'll see you again. Cheers.
Remember kickoff tomorrow evening.
Yes, kickoff tomorrow evening.
And there's time tomorrow to get more customers for ending this last month. And
Yep.
the registered customers is a paycheck this Friday.
Good point. Cheers, everybody.